सिद्धांत दुध्वांत विध्वंसन चक्षुः जयतीर्थाकतनिर्भासतां नो हृदंबरे अत्तिकल्पितकल्पोऽयं प्रत्यत्य गजकेसरी व्यासतीर्थ गुरुर्भूयाद् अस्मदिष्टात् सिद्धये तपोविद्या विरक्त्यादि सद्गुणौघाकरानहं वादिराजगुरून् वन्दे हैग्रीपदाश्रयान् पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवये वैष्णवेन्दीवरेन्दवे श्रीराघवेन्द्रगुरुवे नमोऽत्यन्ते आळवे आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धिं च मनोरथाः हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀ ವ್ಯಾಸರಾಜ ಮಠದ ಪೀಠಾಧಿಪತಿಗಳಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಪರಮ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ಶ್ರೀ ವಿದ್ಯಾಶ್ರೀಷತೀರ್ಥ ಶ್ರೀಪಾದಂಗಳವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಷ್ಟಾಂಗ ದಂಡ ಪ್ರಣಾಮಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಮಾಲಿಕವನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇದು 3ನೇ ದಿನ. ನನ್ನ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತಾ ಅಭಿವಂದನಗಳು. ಇದನ್ನು ಈ ಚಂದಿಕಾ ಗುರುಕುಲ ಇದು ನಡೆಸುತ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀ ವಿಠೋಬಾಚಾರ್, ಶ್ರೀ ಪ್ರವೀಣ್, ಶ್ರೀ ಹರೀಶ್ ರಾವ್, ಶ್ರೀ ಮನೋಜ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತಾ ಅಭಿವಂದನಗಳು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಾ today's session I'm starting. Today is the 3rd day. So we are talking about the mental disposition and the thoughts that were running through in Duryodhana's mind as he was presenting, like he was talking to Dronacharya, and the words that he was telling, they were reflecting the kind of thought process that was going in his mind. So at the end, he was listing the Pandava side warriors. He was giving their names, and while listing their names, there are 7 Akshauhini Sainya on Pandava side, 11 Akshauhini Sainya on his side. But that 7 Akshauhini itself, it was like kind of coming to his mind as if it's something that's very difficult for them to handle. That thought is conveyed by listing of the names. He went to Dronacharya as if he's putting down a list of complaints. That's one purpose. The second thing is he wants to kind of instigate Dronacharya and Bhishmacharya so that they will put in their best of efforts and fight with their full strength. That's what his intention. And as he was listing, the final names that he was giving was in the 6th sloka. He says, Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamojascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarvayeva Maharathaha. So Yudhamanyu and Uttamoja, they are brothers of Drishtadyumna and Drupada's other 2 sons. I mean, actually he has a few more sons, but among them, these 3 were very of special mention, and about whom Duryodhana was a little bit worried, because he knows that all the people around there, they know that Drishtadyumna was born to kill Dronacharya only. That was the intention with which Drupada performed the yajna. And Yudhamanyu and Uttamoja, they are going to give support to Drishtadyumna. So he was kind of instigating Dronacharya, look at your fate. So you are going to be killed, Drishtadyumna. Do you realize that? So that kind of a tone is only through the tone he was indicating that. And funny part is, he was mentioning Saubhadra, that is Subhadra's son Abhimanyu, and Draupadeya, Upapandavas. They were like, young warriors. Of course, they are very valiant ones, but while listing, he listed them on Pandava's side, but on his side also, his son and Karana's son, they were fighting on his side, but he never listed them. That means he is expressing his worries about even those young warriors. So he was mentioning, so this one, like 17 names will become, so up to Uttamoja, 11 names were mentioned, then Abhimanyu and 5 Upapandavas. So it becomes 17 names, and Drishtadyumna 18 names. So 18 names he mentioned on Pandava's side, and there he used the word Sarvayeva Maharathaha. Some people wrongly translate it saying Maharatha means someone who has a big chariot. That is because they do not have proper understanding of the definition of Maharatha, which is given in Mahabharata itself. In Mahabharata, elsewhere it is mentioned what is a Maharatha. So it is said, Eko Dashasahasrani Yodhayed Yastu Dhanvinam Shastra Shastra Pravinascha Shastra Shastra Pravinascha Vigneya Samaharatha. One who is a Shastra Shastra Pravina and one who can fight 10,000 warriors, archers at a time, Dhanvi and Yodhaya. So Dasasahasrani, 10,000, and Shastra and Shastra. That means they are well skilled in the warfare, and such people, such person is called Maharatha. So that is the definition of Maharatha. So it's not like one who is a big chariot. And after listing the warriors on Pandava side, he proceeds and lists the warriors on his side, and he says, Asmakam tu vishishtaye tannibhoda dvijottama nayaka mama sainyasya sangatam tan bravimite. So here, look, the translation as it is, I'm going to list from our side also the leaders, the good warriors. So just listen to them. It looks like very simple meaning, but even here, his thought process is conveyed. Dvijottama, he's addressing Dronacharya as Dvijottama, of course, very honorific phrase, but is that actually his intention just to indicate his honor for Dronacharya? He's probably hinting, you are Dvijottama, that means you are Brahmana. Of course, you are a great Brahmana, all right, but you are not a Kshatriya. So the Kshatriya spirit, the zeal of Kshatriya, is doubtful whether it is in you or not. So you are just a Brahmana, and some, middle of the war, you may feel, kind of shaky, or you may quit the battlefield or whatever. So you are a Dvijottama. So that tone, using that word, is indicating his disapproval. And not only that, not only he is a Brahmana, the three Brahmanas, he lists all the three Brahmanas. While he is listing, he says, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Krupascha Samitinjayaha Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saumadattis Tathaivacha. So he first mentioned, because Dronacharya, he wants to bring up, so though Bhishma is the chief of the army, he wanted to cheer up Dronacharya. So because he already made Bhishma as chief of the army, so he first says Bhavan, you, and then Bhishma, and then Karna, and then Krupa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, Saumadatti, Tathaivacha. So here, when he is listing Bhavan, you, that is Dronacharya, and Krupacharya, Ashwathama, all three are Brahmanas. The first Kshatriya he is mentioning is Bhishma. So Bhishmacharya is also Pandava Pakshapati. You are a Pandava Pakshapati. And Ashwathama is an unpredictable. Now we know that he can do things that are really, really crazy. So he's an unpredictable person. So we don't know what happens. What he does, God only knows. That kind of a behavior he has. And Krupacharya, of course, is a balanced person, but he's also a Brahmana. And Bhishma, he is their Pandava Pakshapati. And then Karnascha, of course, Karna is a great warrior and friend, everything. But look at the fate. Karna, he promised Duryodhana to give his full support and everything. And just before the war, because Bhishma insulted, he said, as long as Bhishma fights, he's not going to fight. So though he mentioned Karna, look at my unfortunate fate, my dear friend Karna, who is so dedicated to me, he is not able to participate in the war now. So Karna is not participating currently. So that's why I mentioned the name Karna. He's gripe about that. And then Vikarna, he's mentioned Vikarna. Among all his Dushasana, he could have mentioned. He didn't mention Dushasana, but he mentioned Vikarna. He's another brother. Because he was thinking when Draupadi Vastrapaharana happened, Vikarna is the one who opposed it. So this Vikarna, I don't know what he will do. He opposed my action once earlier. So now he's standing here on my side, but I don't know what he's going to do. So that fear also is probably showing up there. And then Saumadatti. Saumadatti is Somadatta's son. Saumadatti, he was, actually his name is Saumadatti Bhurishrava. That is, the Somadatta is another name for Bhurishravas. Bhurishravas is the name of the person, son of Somadatta. Who is Somadatta? Somadatta is Santanu's brother was Bahlika. His son was Somadatta. That means Shantanu's brother's son is Somadatta. So Shantanu's brother is Bahlika. His son is Somadatta. And Somadatta's son is Somadatti. Basically, he is like Shantanu's grandson, like that. So Saumadatti, Bhurishravas. So Bhurishrava, he was Vasudeva's wife and mother of Balrama is a Rohini. So that Rohini and Somadatta's, they are brother and sister. Somadatta's sister is Rohini. So Saumadatti Bhurishravas is actually Rohini's brother's son also. So Rohini is the mother of Balrama. So Rohini's brother's son. So he and his people, they like Krishna and Pandavas. So that's why they are fighting on Pandava's side. So he's not fighting on Duryodhana because, I'm sorry, he's fighting on Bhishma's side. Though their Pandavas are kind of dear to them, he's fighting on Duryodhana's side because Bhishma is the one. So Shantanu's brother's grandson. So Bhishmacharya is Shantanu's son. So Bhishmacharya is fighting on Kaurava's side. That is the reason Saumadatti, Bhurishravas, is fighting on Kaurava side, but he is very dear to Pandavas. So he is also kind of a shaky like thing, you know. So he likes Pandavas and Krishna, but is fighting on Kaurava's side. So I don't know what he's going to do. So all the characters that he mentioned are kind of a doubtful ones only. Only strong character they mention is Karna, but that Karna is not able to fight now. So that is the mental status that's Duryodhana is at that moment. And then he says, Anye cha bhava shuraha madarthe tyakta jivitaha nanashastra prahanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. All the rest, he clubs into one phrase. All the rest of them, Anye cha bhava, the rest, lot of brave people. And he used the word madarthe tyakta jivitaha. For my sake, they are willing to give up their life. Look, he could have said madarthe mad vijayakankshinaha, something like that. Instead of using a Mangalika, Mangala Shabda, he is using Amangala Shabda, which is Tyaktajivitaha. They are willing to give up their life. That Amangala Shabda he is using because he is kind of thinking something bad is going to happen to him, or whatever nice things are not in his favor. That kind of a tone you can see. They are a Nana Shastra Prahana. They're very skilled in using the arms, warfare, they're good, but Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha, the experts in warfare, but they're not that significant. They're not that important compared to Pandava's side. So all this was running in his mind, and at that moment, he uses a kind of a very funny phrases. In the 10th sloka, he says, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam Paryaptam tvidametesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. The word, as we said, Bhima Arjuna Samayade he used. When he used Bhima and Arjuna, like warriors are there on Pandava's side, everybody is looking like Bhima and Arjuna for Duryodhana. So his fear and worries are very obvious. And in that status of mind, he is using the words Paryapta and Aparyapta. These are very interesting words. Paryapta means a lot of meanings are there, and two opposite meanings. One is Paryapta means limited. Another is Paryapta means capable, Samartha, Yogya. So Samartha means capable, which is a kind of a nice word. But Paryapta means limited, which is kind of a negative word. And Aparyapta is unlimited, vast. That's one meaning. Aparyapta is not capable, not Samartha. So that's totally opposite meaning. So this Paryapta and Aparyapta, the pair can give capable and not capable, or it can give very limited and unlimited. So what meaning Duryodhana used? In which sense he used these words? We can easily guess based upon all that we saw so far that he used to convey that his army, which is protected by Bhishma, is not capable in defeating Pandava army, but Pandava army, on the other hand, is paryapta. They are samartha eva. So they are capable of defeating us because they are protected by Bhima. Look at the word. So Bhishma is the chief of the army on Kaurava side. He mentioned Bhishma. He should have mentioned Drushtadhyumna Abhirakshitam or something like that, but he used Bhima Abhirakshitam. Bhima is not chief of the army. So why did he mention Bhima? That is because of the fear complex that he had developed about Bhima. So people may ask, why should Duryodhana be afraid or have that fear complex about Bhima? And probably in his mind, all the past that probably kind of ran through his mind, he maybe remembered all his childhood. He knows what kind of strength Bhimsena had. Like in Mahabharata, the childhood one, a couple of incidents, I'll list them to show why Duryodhana is in that state of mind. One of the incidents, Jave Lakshaviharane Bhojye Pamsu Vikarshane Dhutaraष्ट्रस Dhartarashtran Bhimasenaha Sarvansa Parimardati Harsha Harshade Harshad Etan Kridamanan Gruhya Kaka Niliyane Shirassu Cha Nigruhya Enan Yodhayamasa Pandavaha. So basically, he is mentioning how Bhimsena handled the Kauravas when they were all children. So Shatamekottaram Tesham Kumaranam Mahaujasam Eka Vimudrati Nati Kuchat Rukodaraha. So that Mardana, how he Bhimasena handled Kauravas means very, very like in speed, in hitting the target, in eating, in dust scattering, like in scattering the mud. Bhimasena had beaten all the sons of Dhritarashtra, joyously holding all 101 of them by hair, pulled them effortlessly as if they were just one and dragged them on ground, hurting their knees, heads, and shoulders. While in water, he held them by tens and drowned them until they were almost dead. It included Duryodhana also. Even Duryodhana was like one among 101. He just handled them like anything. So when they got up the tree, by striking the tree by foot, made them all fall along with fruits, like as if they are fruits. So in duels and in speed, they could not match Rukodara Bhimsena. So thus, Bhimasena showed his prowess and did unpleasant things. Of course, they were all young age. He did because of his childhood play and did not have any evil intent. I mean, he did not want to really kill them at that moment or anything. He used them like toys. So that was the kind of behavior Bhimasena showed, and probably Duryodhana was thinking about all that, and he was probably shivering in his mind. And another incident, you all aware of that, Bodhane Bhimasenasya, once they gave the poison and tried to kill Bhimasena by throwing him in the river. He comes back drinking the ambrosia and he's all successful. And people are not aware that there's another incident. They tried to poison Bhimasena a second time. Actually, they tried to kill all the 5 Pandavas. So they mix in the food Visha and they bring the Kalakuta Visha, Tikshna Visha, and Lomaharshanam, like hair standing poison, and that kind of a Visha they mixed and they bring, and one Vaishya Putra actually. So Vaishya Putra Stadachashta Parthanam Hitakamya. He wanted to do good for the Pandavas. He comes and he came and told them, look, they mixed the poison in that. And in spite of knowing that they mixed the poison, Bhimsena says, oh, they mixed the poison, okay, I'll eat all the food. And he made the other Pandavas, no, you don't take the food. I'll eat the whole thing. So he ate all 5 people's poison, whatever intended for all 5 Pandavas. Vikaram nahi ajanayat sutikshnamapi tadvisham bhima samhanano bhimas tadapi ajayas tadapi ajasyat tataha. So, sorry, Bhimas tadap yajarayat tataha. So he just frightened, like, how he handled them, how he, ajarayat means jirna, he digested the whole thing. That much of visha, he ajarayat, like, that means he digested the whole visha without any problem. So that kind of strength that Bhimasena showed. And another incident, when Bhimasena killed Kichaka, Duryodhana says in his own words, Chatvarastu naravyagra bale shakropama bhuvi uttama pranam tesham nasti kaschit bale samaha samaprana bala nityam sampurna bala paurushaha. There are only 4 people who can have the strength equals, he says, Bhimascha balabhadrascha madrarajascha viryavana chatutta kichakastesham panchamam nanushishruma. Bhimasena and Balarama and Madraraja, who is Shalya, and then Kichaka. These are 4 are of great strength. There's no 5th one who is equal to these 4. Of course, we know that Bhimsena killed not only Kichaka, but even others like Bakasura and all, Kirmira, so many he killed. So he showed much superior strength. But in his mind, Duryodhana's mind, Bhima was creating a lot of fear. So that's why he was having that kind of a mental agonies and fear and everything. He was in Kichakasya, Hidimbasya, Baka Kirmira Yorapi, Jarasandhasya, Nrupatehe, Kamsadinam to Sarvasaha, na Badhanaya, Bhishmadya, Apisheku Katamchana. So even Bhishmacharya, he is a very strong person, but Bhishmacharya did not go and bother any of these Kichakar, Hidimbar, Bakar, Kirmira, Jarasandha, or Kamsa. So Bhishma was keeping away from those people, but among them, and Kichaka, Hidimba, Baka, and Kirmira, Jarasandha, these people Bhimsena has killed. So that fear is kind of eating up and bothering Duryodhana a lot. So when he spoke this word, this is what going up in his mind. And another thing that happened was like, Hate Raje Rajani Chaiva Bhinne Bhagne Vikarne Cha Padarakshe Gandiva Muktaihi Vishikaihi Prabhinaste. Within a short time, the Virata Yuddha happened where Arjuna all alone defeated the huge army of the Kauravas. Same Arjuna is standing now on the other side. All this is eating up his mind. So Virata Yuddha also is, it is in the mind of Duryodhana. So when he uttered that word Paryapta and Aparyapta, he was only talking about the capability of the Pandava army. So they are Paryapta, they are capable of defeating us. And there he used the word Paryaptam Tvidametesham, Paryaptam tu. So that means they are not capable of defeating us, but we are not capable of defeating them, but they are capable of defeating us. So this Paryapta and Aparyapta words that are used are clear indication that Duryodhana was thinking Pandava army is capable of defeating Kaurava army, but Kaurava army is not capable of defeating Pandava army. And he first says actually Kaurava army is not capable of defeating, but Pandava army is capable of defeating. So that's the word he used. And it's not only that verse, even the verse that comes after that verse also will indicate that that's what the case is. The Mahabharata incidents, lot of Mahabharata incidents clearly shows the fear complex that Duryodhana is very likely to have. The people who are persistent in giving the wrong interpretation for this Paryaptam Tudametesham Balam Bhimabhirakshitam and Aparyaptam Tadasmakam Balam Bhishmabhirakshitam, the people who give the wrong interpretation, they can be one of the following types. Probably they are those who never read entire Mahabharata, or maybe they read entire Mahabharata but they never understood it, or maybe they read entire Mahabharata, they understood it but they never could remember, or maybe they read Mahabharata, they understood it, they remembered it, but they didn't know how to use it. Or another possibility is they read the Mahabharata, they understood it, they remembered it, they know how to use it, but still they didn't want to use it or they didn't care to use it. So only that kind of situation can make people interpret that paryaptam, aparyaptam in a wrong way. And the very next verse actually justifies that is what was running in Duryodhana's mind. Because the next verse says, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastitaha bhishmameva abhirakshantu bhavanta sarva evahi. If the army was protected by Bhishma and the army was limitless, as some people interpret in a wrong way, why would anyone worry about Bhishma's safety? So Duryodhana says, all of you stand, take up your positions and somehow protect Bhishma. So he's worried about the safety of the Bhishma also. That means he is really thinking highly about Pandava army. He was thinking low about the Bhishma's army, his own army. That's why he said, let all of you, all of you stand there and protect Bhishmacharya. So that next verse also, it indicates that was what was running in his mind. And the next verse is further confirms this thinking process. That means Duryodhana is really sad, depressed, his Vishada is there in his mind. This is further confirmed in the next verse when we see Tasya Sanjanayan Hashram Kurugruddha Pitamaha Simhanadam Vinadyochaihi Shankham Dadmo Pratapavan. Then, hearing these words, because as he was speaking to Dronacharya, Bhishma is standing right next to Dronacharya, he also heard all these words. So he realized that Duryodhana is so much depressed when he's talking to Dronacharya. His expressed words clearly indicated the sadness of Duryodhana. So Bhishma wanted to cheer up Duryodhana. So what he did, in order to create cheerfulness in the despondent Duryodhana, the aged Bhishmacharya blew the conch like a lion's roar. If Duryodhana said that his army was limitless, and if he was in high spirits, why bother to cheer him up? So if the cheerfulness was already there, and the question of, here, Bhishmacharya blew the conch to increase the cheerfulness. If somebody tries to argue that way, then it should not be Tasya Sanjanayan Hashram. It should be something like Tasya Samvardhayan Hashram or something. You should increase the happiness, increase the cheerfulness. That kind of a phrase should be there. Sanjanayan means whatever was not there, you creating, generating. So Sanjanayan is generating the cheerfulness, happiness. That means the cheerfulness, happiness was not there in the mind of Duryodhana. That's why Bhishmacharya, he created the happiness. And a lot more indicators are there. When the Kaurava army, when the war started, they used the trumpets, they used all kinds of kettle drums, tabors, blow horns, conches, everything the Kaurava army used. They blared the sound, they made so much of sound. There is no mention of that tumultuous sound affecting the Pandavas. But when the Pandava army blew their conches, they did not use trumpets, kettle drums, tabors, nothing they used. They used only the conches. But what was the effect of that sound from the conches? So he said, Vedavyasuri describes, Saghosho Dhartarashtranam Hudayani Vyadarayat Nabhasya Prithvim Chaiva Tumulo Vinanadayan. They really tore up the hearts of the Kauravas. That big sound of Kauravas did not bother Pandavas, at least there is no mention of it, but the sound made by Pandavas really affected and shook up the hearts, the Hrudayani Vyadarayan. So, Saghoshaha Dhattarashtranam Hrudayani Vyadarayat Nabhasya Prithvim Chaiva. So, they tore up the hearts of the Kauravas. So, that was the effect of doing all that. So, and commentators, a lot of commentators gave the commentary on this, and I went through a lot of comments. I'm not going to mention any of the commentaries, but I'll indicate one thing. Some of the Advaitis, couple of Advaitis themselves commented in the sense of whatever we are saying, the correct way. That means Paryapta and Aparyapta is capable and not capable. This kind of a correct commentary was given by couple of Advaitis also. And Ramanujacharya, he also commented correctly on that. And Madhvacharya, he saw like, no, it's obvious meaning. And also Ramanujacharya already gave correct. So there was no ambiguity. So it was obvious. So Madhvacharya did not comment on that. But Raghavendra Swami, he commented, because what happened, a lot of confusion is created. Some people commented that way, some people this way. So during Rayaru's time, he said, okay, again the clarification is needed. So Rayaru gave the correct interpretation again, saying that Paryapta is Samartha, Pandava army is Samartha, capable, but Kaurava army is not Samartha. The correct interpretation is given by Rayaru. And any person, logically thinking person, looking at all the context, can easily conclude that is what is mentioned here. And these are like, very interesting situation. And I explained it in English in all possible ways. I'll just give you one small sentence in Indian language just to see how effective the situation is in conveying the thought process of Duryodhana. ಇಡೀ ಜೀವನದ ಅನೇಕ ಘಟನೆಗಳು ಕಣ್ಮುಂದೆ ಕುಣಿದಾಡಿ ಆ ಖಲನ ಕಾದಾಡಿ ಕುದಿಸಿ ಕೃಗ್ಗಿಸಿ ಕೆದರಿದವು. జీవితాంతము నడిచిన కడు ఘటనలు కళ్ళ ముందు కదిలాడి ఆ కలుని ఖేదమును కుదిపి కృగ్గదీసినాయి. जीवन भर बीते हुए दुर्घटनाएं आंखों के सामने नाचते हुए वो दुर्योधन को धक्का देते हुए दुख में डुबा दिए. याव जीवित गत व्यतिकर तति व्यथित मति मति गत भावम तत्खल चित्त फलके नर्तयन् आवर्तयन् दुखेन ममंथा. जीवन भरूने छाते भरून घटना दोड़ा समोरे नाचाते ते दुष्ट दुर्योधनाला थर थर धक्का देवने दुखांते बुड़ीवला. So that was the situation. The whole thing reeled in front of his eyes, the bad incidents that he had to go through in his life, and how the Pandava strength proved to be superior again and again, even while fighting Drupada, how the Kauravas lost very badly. Even when Karna was there, they couldn't, Drupada all alone could defeat them, and how Arjuna alone could defeat them all in Virata Yuddha. All these instances, how Bhima showed his parakrama, all this bothered Duryodhana and his fear. This is kind of a Duryodhana Vishada Ghatta. So Duryodhana, he was very sad and depressed, and this is indicated there. And this process, we have to remember how Duryodhana, though not that he's a timid fellow, he's a very brave person. We should not think that Duryodhana is a timid person, but he was having the worries about Pandava army. That's all it is. Of course, he's a very, very brave warrior. And the word Duryodhana, actually a lot of people don't know exactly the meaning of the word. Duryodhana means Dukkena Yodhum Shakyate iti Duryodhana. So Duryodhana means to fight with him is very difficult. Dukkena Yodhum Shakyate. That's why when during Virata Yuddha, Arjuna says, Duryodhana, you are lost your Duryodhanatva. That's why you're running away from the battlefield. So he kind of talks very provocatively to Duryodhana, or Arjuna says that word. So Dushasana means Dukkhena Shasitum Shakyaha. So one who is very difficult to control. So Duryodhana is unassailable, unattackable. Dushasana means uncontrollable. Nobody can control him except a selected few. Like Duryodhana could control him, only very few can control him, very few can order him. That's what the word Dushasana means. So that kind of a people they are. And Duryodhana is a brave person, but somehow these fears were running in his mind. And here I just conclude my speech. ಈ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಪುಷ್ಪವನ್ನು ಶ್ರೀ ವ್ಯಾಸರಾಜ ಗುರುವಂತರ್ಗತ ಶ್ರೀ ಭಾರತೀಯಂನ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪ್ರಾಣಾಂತರ್ಗತ ಶ್ರೀ ಗೋಪಾಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಅಡಿತಾವರೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಎರಗಿ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು. ಹರೇ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ. ಏನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಫೀಲ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಟು ಆಸ್ಕ್.
ಒಂದು ನಾನು ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬಹಳ ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಪ್ರಸಂಗದ ಮುಂದುವರಿಕೆಯ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ತಾವು ಬಹಳ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಿರಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಪಾಂಡವರ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 18 ಜನರ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಅವನು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ತನ್ನ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು 7 ಜನರನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಸ್ವಾರಸ್ಯ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ, 3 ಜನ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣರು, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಕರ್ಣ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಷತ್ರಿಯನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇದೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಈ ಭೀಷ್ಮರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ತನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವನು ಮಾತಾಡೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ಕಾರಣ ಅಂತ, ಅವನ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಈಗ ಪಾಂಡವರ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇದೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ತನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಅವನಿಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ತನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಸಿಕೊಂಡ ಭಾರಿ ದುಶಾಸನ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನ ಹೆಸರನ್ನೇ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾಪಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕಾರಣ ಇದೆಯಾ?
Yeah, the question is nice question. So he mentioned 18 names on Pandava side, but on his side he mentioned only 7 names, as we also talked about it. And why he did not even mention Dushasana? He did not. He mentioned the Pandava side, Abhimanyu and the Pandavas, but he did not mention his own children who participated, and also Karna's son also participated. Why he did not mention their name? And even Dushasana name, why did he not mention that name? The reason is, here, whatever are the positive side of it, he did not want to mention. His intention was firstly to trigger Dronacharya, to tell him, look, everything is negative on our side. So he did not want to say anything positive. So he did not want to say about his son or Karna's son or other children who are also young warriors. They were not really very weak ones or anything. Karna's son also fights a very nice war. Now, though not comparable to Abhimanyu, he also puts up a good war. But Duryodhana did not want to mention anything positive on his side. He wants to mention only the negative. That's why there are also other, he could have mentioned Shalya. He did not even mention Shalya. He could have, because Shalya also maybe he was not sure, but he did not even mention some of the other great warriors who are there on his side. The reason is, he wanted to mention only the negative aspects, no positive aspects from his side. That's why he mentioned a smaller number of names, and also the names that are really kind of a doubtful ones. His sons will fight with full heart. So that's why he did not mention his son's name. Or Dushasana will fight. But he and Dushasana are in the same status, in the sense, Bhimasena has taken a vow to kill Duryodhana by beating his thighs, and Dushasana's heart, he is going to drink blood out of his heart. So he took a oath on that. But Dushasana is a great warrior. It's a positive mention, but he did not mention. Why? Means nothing positive. He did not want to mention anything positive from his side. He wants to mention all weak links from his side, and he wanted to mention all strong links from Pandava's side. So the strong links that he did not mention from his side is because he did not want to give any positive picture from his side to Dronacharya. He wanted to give only the pessimistic picture of his side, only the optimistic picture of Pandava's side. That is the reason why he did not mention Dushasana or his children or Karna's son, who were also great warriors, but positive. So positive, he didn't want to mention. He wanted to mention only the negative aspects, only the negative things on. That's why Karna is positive, but he's not fighting. That's also a negative. It happened. So only the negative side on his side, only the positive things on Pandava's side. That was the intention of Duryodhana, so that he can really stir up Dronacharya, say, look, we have everything negative. But if you mention Dushasana or his children, look, everything is negative on our side, he cannot say. He is saying everything negative on his side. That means no positive things from his side should be mentioned. That was the intention of Duryodhana, not to mention positive things from his side. That is the reason he didn't mention Dushasana or his sins.
ತಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಬಹಳ ಸರಿ ಅಂತ, ಉತ್ತಮವಾದದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾರಣ ನಾನು ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಆದರೆ, ಅವನು ತನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮಂದಿರಲ್ಲಿ 99 ಜನರ ತಮ್ಮಂದಿರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ವಿಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ಅವನೊಬ್ಬನು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ವಿಕರ್ಣ ಅವನ ತಮ್ಮ. ವಿಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯಾಕೆ ಗುರುತಿಸಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕಾರಣ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನಕಾರರು. ಆ ವಿಕರ್ಣ ದ್ರೌಪದಿಯ ವಸ್ತ್ರಾಪಹಾರದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನೊಬ್ಬನು ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ದೊಡ್ಡವರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವನು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿರೋಧ ಮಾಡಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದನಂತೆ. ವಸ್ತ್ರಾಪಹಾರ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ವಿರೋಧ ಮಾಡಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ತೋರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇವನನ್ನ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವನು ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರನ್ನ ತಾನು ನಂಬಿಲ್ವೋ ಅವರನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರವೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಭೀಷ್ಮರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಬೇಕಂತ ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೀರರನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಪಟ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ಇವನು ಪುನಃ ಕರ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಕರ್ಣ ಒಬ್ಬ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಣನನ್ನ ನಾನು ವೀರ ಅಂತ ಪರಿಗಣಿಸೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಭೀಷ್ಮರು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಭವಾನ್ ಭೀಷ್ಮಶ್ಚ ಕರ್ಣಶ್ಚ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಣನೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಹಾವೀರ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಂತ ಭೀಷ್ಮರ ಜೊತೆಗೇನೆ ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕ ಕಾರಣ ಇದೆಯೇ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
Yeah, that is correct. So actually saying he mentioned Vikarna but not Dushasana. So why did he mention Vikarna? And also I mentioned Karna's name right after Bhishma. So actually I mentioned this in my talk also, that the reason he mentioned Vikarna is the only one among his brothers who opposed his action when the Draupadi Vastraparana happened. So that is the reason. So that's why negative. So he mentioned Vikarna as a negative aspect. Dushasana he did not mention because Vikarna is the only one who opposed among his brothers during Vastraparana. So I mentioned that actually in the talk. Yes, that is the reason why he mentioned Vikarna. And the reason he mentioned Karna right after Bhishma is also that because as you said, the Bhishma, when he lists all the warriors, when he left out Karna, and he says, why you left out Karna? Means he says you are Ardharatha. Ardharatha means one who runs away from battlefield, leaving the one whom he has to guard. He leaves. Actually, one way Karna did that. During Ghoshayatra, when Gandharva, some Chitraratha comes and fights, and Karna, he kind of runs away from battle. So many times he abandons. So many times, even including Virata Yuddha, Karna runs away from the battlefield, leaving Duryodhana. Duryodhana gets hammered by Arjuna. So several occasions, Karna runs away from the battlefield. So and using that, Bhishma insults Karna, you are a Ardharatha. You are not even a Samaratha. So there are Atirathas, Maharathas, Samarathas, and Ardharathas. Ardharatha means one who runs away from the battlefield. So you are a one who runs away from the battlefield all the time. When he says that, Karna gets very insulted and he takes a oath, I will not fight until you are fighting. That is the reason he mentioned Bhavan, Bhishmascha, Karnascha. So Bhishma, who stopped Karna from fighting the battlefield because of his hurting remarks. So that, yes, that is the reason. That's why he mentioned only the negative aspects. Karna is a negative aspect. Even though he's a friend, he's a negative aspect. Vikarna, unpredictable. He's a Pandava side, he talked during Vastraparana. So God knows what he does. He may abandon us in the middle of the battlefield and leave us. Hey, you are not doing a Dharma Yuddha. Just like what he did during Draupadi Vastraparana. So he's unpredictable. So that is the reason, yes, the commentators mentioned it's very obvious also. So, and I mentioned that also during my talk.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಅಪರ್ಯಾಪ್ತಂ ತದಸ್ಮಾಕಂ ಬಲಂ ಭೀಷ್ಮಾಭಿರಕ್ಷಿತಂ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇನೆಯ ನಾಯಕನಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಭೀಷ್ಮನನ್ನ ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ತನ್ನ ಸೇನೆಯ ನಾಯಕನನ್ನ ಉಲ್ಲೇಖ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಸೇನಾಧಿಪತಿ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪರ್ಯಾಪ್ತಂ ತ್ವಿದಮೇತೇಷಾಂ ಬಲಂ ದೃಷ್ಟದ್ಯುಮ್ನಾಭಿರಕ್ಷಿತಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ಭೀಮಾಭಿರಕ್ಷಿತಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೇನಾಧಿಪತಿ ಆಗಿರೋನು ದೃಷ್ಟದ್ಯುಮ್ನ, ಅವನನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಭೀಮಾಭಿರಕ್ಷಿತಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕಾರಣ ಇದೆಯಾ?
The question is, when he said aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmaabhirakshitam, there Bhishma is mentioned, who is the chief of the army, and on this side paryaptam tidametesham balam bhimaabhirakshitam instead of dushtadumnaabhirakshitam. Why bhimaabhirakshitam? Means this, there is a reason. The reason, as I mentioned, he remembered all the childhood things that happened where Bhima showed enormous strength, And recent incidents that happened like Kichakavada, Bakasuravada, Kirmiravada, where Bhima showed enormous strength. So he has no chance against Bhimasena. So the Bhima Abhiraksha, Drishtadyumna is there. He's a namesake chief of the army. But the real protection is coming from Bhima. As long as Bhima, Vayuputra Bhima is there, and actually Bhishma in Shanti Parva, Bhishmacharya mentions this actually. Vayuputro Bhimo, Vayuputro Bhimanadha. There he says Bhimasena is there means yes, that's victory is definitely is going to be there. So Bhimasena, Bhima Abhirakshitam, the reason he mentioned is the fear that he expressed Bhimarjuna Samayudhi, Bhima, the word itself, Bhima means Bhayankara. Bhima, Shatru Bhayankara is Bhima. That's why Bhimabhirakshitam, the reason he mentioned in stuff Drishtadyumna is namesake chief of the army. The real protection coming from Bhimasena, Bhayankara, Shatru Bhayankara, Bhimasena. That's why Bhimabhirakshitam is a very meaningful word to mention the fear, frightening situation that they are in. That is indicated by the word Bhimabhirakshitam.
ಅನ್ಯೇಚ ಭಾವಶೂರ ಮದರ್ತೆ ತ್ಯಕ್ತ ಜೀವಿತಾಹ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಾಣ ತೊರೆಯಲು ಕೂಡ ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದೇನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನನಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಈ ಶತ್ರುಗಳ ಪ್ರಾಣ ತೆಗೆಯಲು ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತವ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ. ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಣ ತೆರಲು ಇದಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇವರು ನಾವು ಸೋಲನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡು ಯುದ್ಧಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಂತಾಗ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ.
Yeah. So why he said Madathe Tyakta Jivitaha? That means one meaning is they are willing to give up their. I mentioned that during talk, Amangalika word. He used Amangalika Shabda, Tyakta Jivitaha. He could have used Vijayakanshinaha or Shatru Hanana Samarthaha or something like that. Why he said Madathe Tyakta Jivitaha? That means he's already believing that they lost the war. So depressed mind. That's why I said this is Duryodhana Vishada Ghatta. He's Vishada Ghatta. So he is very, very depressed, despondent, and not only he is despondent, he said, whoever came to fight my side, they're as good as dead. Madarthe Tyakta Jivitaha, that means not that they are willing to give up their life, but as good as they are dead. They're finished because I am a losing side and they are going to die for my sake. So he is Amangala Shabda. Prayoga, he made that to indicate, this indicates only that depressed, despondent situation of Duryodhana. That's why he used that word. So every phrase, every word that is indicated in this adhyaya, that clearly indicates the mental status of Duryodhana. He was very depressed, he was despondent, he was sad, he was very diffident, he was thinking that he's going to lose the war and his side people are all going to die. That's what his mind. It was like even Drishtadyumna, he's saying like, Tava Sishyena Dhimata, your Sishya, he learned from you and he's going to kill you. So everywhere the indication is, yes, we are finished. They are going to have it. So this fear gripped the mind of Duryodhana. That's why he used all those phrases.
ಈ ಭಯ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಯುದ್ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂತ ಅಥವಾ ಯುದ್ಧದ ಮೊದಲೇ ಇತ್ತ? ಒಂದ್ ವೇಳೆ ಯುದ್ಧದ ಮೊದಲೇ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಯುದ್ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು ಸನ್ನದ್ಧನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯುದ್ಧ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನೊಬ್ಬ ವೀರ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸಮರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು?
Very good question. So did he have this fear beforehand or did that fear creep into his mind at that moment? He had a mixed thoughts all the time, but he cannot. Actually, there are a lot of occasions when Bhishmacharya and Dhritarashtra and Vidura, all those people gave good advice to Duryodhana, saying that you better give the kingdom to Pandavas. When said, Duryodhana gives a phrase, the same forest, there cannot be two leader lions. We and Pandavas cannot be in the same kingdom. So Duryodhana was not prepared to give up anything, but he had that mixed thoughts. He was confident that Bhishmacharya and Dronacharya somehow can do something. And he was also thinking, maybe the Pandavas are so nice, maybe they won't even come for the war. So he might have been having a mixed thoughts. So that he did not have the inherent fear. He is not like a Bhiru who runs away from that. The earlier did he have the fear? Yes, he had the fear, but also he had hope. The fear and hope are not mutually exclusive thoughts. We experience that in our lives also. Sometimes we have a mixed. There will be a fear on one side, there will be a hope on the other side. There will be a, what you call confused mind. So Duryodhana had a confused mind, that he had fears, but at the same time he had confidence also. He was having both. But the funny part is, his one thing is certain: either he has the kingdom or Pandavas has the kingdom. Sharing the kingdom, he did not want. He was prepared to die, but he was not prepared to share the kingdom with Pandavas. That he did not want. That was certain. That's why he came for the battle. He came for the battle. Okay, I'll die in the battlefield. So he's not a Bhiru. He's a Dhira only. He was prepared to die in the battlefield, but he was not prepared to yield to the enemies. He did not. So he is a bold guy. Before coming to the battlefield, he has mixed thoughts, but at that moment, the fear took up, possessed his mind. So actually, the fear complex played a greater role at that moment. So the mixed thought was there before. He came to the battlefield. He is not a timid guy. He is not a coward, but the fear gripped him more at that moment. That's why he spoke all this word. In fact, in the next second day, when it was about to start the battle, he uses the same phrase. There also he uses the word aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tidame. There he does not use tu idam. Paryaptam idametesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. There actually paryaptam and aparyaptam is limitless and unlimited. That second meaning is conveyed there, because the contextually we have to go at this moment, because the mind is not the same at all times. Our psychology is, sometimes for us hope comes more, sometimes it's the timidness comes more. So at this moment the fear gripped Duryodhana's mind, but on the second day he uses the same phrase, but to his soldiers for a different purpose. He wanted to give encouragement to the soldiers. He tells them, look, our army is huge army, their army is a small army. There he uses exactly the same words, but to give exactly the opposite meaning. That is the great. So Vyasa Ghatta, actually, sometime probably I'll talk about the Vyasa Ghatta. The greatness of Veda Vyasa is he uses the words in such wonderful way that we have to really delve deep into the words to see the meaning. The context will give us the meaning, and the Padacheda, Artha Anusandhana has to be done depending upon the context. So the Vyasa Ghatta is not easy to understand. At this moment, the is a beautiful science of psychology. He, at this moment, the fear possessed his mind. At another moment, he wanted to give courage to his soldiers. So different contexts, different meanings for the same phrase.
ಪ್ರವೀಣ್, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಇವೆ?
ಇದೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ is from Purushottam Rao. Why did Duryodhana take the name of Karna, who was not in the army in the beginning of the war?
Yeah, it's a nice question. So why did Duryodhana pick the name of Karna, who was not in the battlefield? There are two reasons. One is he wanted to give, look, Karna is on my side, but she is not on my side. He's not standing there. That is one reason. The second reason is, though Karna took up an oath and he says he's not going to fight until Bhishma is fighting the war, his army is there. Karna's army is standing and fighting, because only Karna withstood. So he was not fighting, but his army is still there. When the army is there, it's as good as Karna being there. So symbolically, Karna is on his side. So that's why he mentioned. So the two reasons. One is Karna, though he is there, he's not there. He wanted to complain about it. The second reason is Karna's army is there. That's why he mentioned the name Karna.
There's a statement next from Chudamani here. Acharya, Vishadas of Arjuna and Duryodhana both are different. Duryodhana showed Vishada just to instigate Bhishma and Drona. But Arjuna Vishada is purely emotional. So, would you like to say anything about this?
Yes. Yeah. There's a difference in the Vishada of Duryodhana and Arjuna. Both showed Vishada in the first Adhyaya. And we call this Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Adhyaya is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Duryodhana Vishada Yoga we don't call. And Duryodhana Vishada and Arjuna Vishada, the difference is Duryodhana Vishada is, yeah, I am a loser. So many things are going against me. I don't want things to go against me. That kind of a selfishness, it is, his Vishada is kind of hinged upon selfishness. Duryodhana Vishada is selfishness based Vishada. Arjuna Vishada is selflessness based Vishada. He did not want to fight his own people. So that his Vishada is not because something is going against him. His Vishada is he is fighting against his own dear and near people. That was the root reason for Arjuna Vishada. And why it's called Vishada Yoga means because of Arjuna Vishada, Krishna gave Geetopadesha. So it led for the Geetha Upadesha itself. So that's why Arjuna Vishada, why it's a yoga. Yoga means Jnanopaya. How can Vishada be Jnanopaya? Because of Arjuna Vishada, Krishna went and gave the Geetha Upadesha. So that's led to the Geetha Upadesha itself. That's why it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That's how it is a yoga, Jnanopaya. It led to the Geetha Upadesha. So that's why it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So the difference between Vishada is Duryodhana Vishada is selfishness based Vishada. Arjuna Vishada is selflessness based Vishada.
Thank you, sir. That was a great explanation. Just one more statement. For Duryodhana, the kind of awareness was not prevalent when Lord Krishna had gone for Sandhana before declaring war. So, anything you want to elaborate on this?
Can you repeat the question? Duryodhana's.
For Duryodhana, the kind of awareness was not prevalent when Lord Krishna had gone for Sandhana before declaring war.
Yeah. 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 How come Duryodhana was not aware of all these things when Krishna came for Sandhana? Yes, he had these things. In fact, Krishna during his Krishna Rayabara, he tells that he is depending upon Karna and all these people, they're all useless, they're not going to do anything. And he says, Duryodhana, your army, you are going to get destroyed, your entire Kula is going to get destroyed. Krishna gives all the warnings. Duryodhana had the awareness that, there is a very good chance that he can lose, but still he cannot stand accepting that. So there is a difference. This is a psychology again. A person knowing something is something, but accepting something is something. So Duryodhana knows that when Krishna is telling all those words, it is quite possible that he is likely to lose everything in a battlefield. But he is not willing to give up. His intention is, I will not share anything with Pandavas. I would rather die, fight the battle and die, or kill the Pandavas, but I will not yield and give it up. That's why he says he doesn't want to give even a pin drop of land. That means his desire, strong desire, not to share even a tiny bit. His total hatred for Pandavas is evident, and that is the reason why Duryodhana behaved like that.
ಆಯ್ತಾ ಮನೋಜ್?
ಆಯ್ತು ಆಚಾರ್ಯ.
ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ನನಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊರಿತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಈ
Yeah.
ದುರ್ಯೋಧನನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನವನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಡಿಬಹುದು?
This is a very nice question. So what is the take home message for us? When Duryodhana is telling all this, what should be the take home message for us? The take home message is this. Actually two messages we have to get from this. One is, a person is who adheres to dharma, who takes on the side of the dharma, can always be fearless. Dharmo rakshate rakshitaha. So when we stick to dharma, dharma will protect us. Duryodhana's this whole confusion, fear, everything, and his loss, everything is because of his adhering to adharma. That's one thing. The second lesson that we can learn is, you should be careful and calculate things beforehand, not like at a last minute, like Duryodhana, every minute he is thinking just the present situation. Whatever he can do for present, let me. Planning for the future was never there. Okay, if I am much weaker than Pandavas, even though I don't like to share anything with the Pandavas, there is every possibility Krishna is there on the side, they are going to have victory. They asked at least 5 villages, 5 gramas. When Krishna asked if Duryodhana were a wise person, he said, okay, with 5 gramas, let me give them, and Pandavas, they'll be happy with that 5 grams. They're not of the type who come and occupy my Hastinapura later on. They're not of that type. Let me give 5 villages. They will live in a much lower, much less way, and I'll have it all. I'll have 95%, and they'll have 5%. Let me do that. He could have done that, but he did not do that. So the lesson that we should learn is always weigh the strength against us and towards us. If there is something that is a lot strong force against us, we should not stand. Like, in the big flood, water comes, huge trees get blown away, but ordinary simple grass which bends its head will strong. After the water is all flown, the grass will stand again. The small ones which bent their head and for the water flow, after the water flow, they stand up again. The huge trees, they get blown away. So don't stand against the flood. You will be blown away. Learn how to bend when forces are much powerful and against you. So this awareness, clarity of thought, and calculating things in the right way, that will help a person to succeed in life. So for us to succeed in life, we should always have good judgment power. Duryodhana's judgment power was very, very weak, very wrong, and he was adhering to adharma side. So stick to dharma side, judge things properly, think when you are strong and when you are weak, and act accordingly. Learn the lesson from things that are going around you. That is the lesson that we have to take home.
ಬಹಳ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸದೃಷ್ಟಾಂತವಾಗಿ ನಿರೂಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಬಹಳ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದೊಂದು ದುರ್ಯೋಧನನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ತುಮುಲುಗಳು, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಪಡೆಯಬಹುದಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಸಂದೇಶಗಳಿರಬಹುದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಬಹಳ ವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ ಅಧ್ಯಯನದ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ತಮ್ಮ ಕೃಷಿ ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೃಷಿಯ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅಪಾರವಾದ ಅನುಭವ ಸಹಿತವಾದ ಒಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ವತಿಯಿಂದ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಸ್ತಿಕರ ವತಿಯಿಂದ, ಮಠದ ವತಿಯಿಂದಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನಂತ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಭಗವಂತನಿಗೆ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು.
ಹರೇ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ, ತುಂಬಾ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್.
ಮನೋಜ್ ಕಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಮನೋಜ್?